caring for children has always been one of the deepest and most satisfying things a human being can do. The world is changing, and there's never been a more important time for childcare business owners to start marketing their businesses. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about everything that can help you grow your childcare business and stand out in a crowded market. Welcome to the Childcare Business Growth Podcast. Hey everyone, it's Nick here from Childcare Business Growth, and I am super excited as always. Now today I wanted to introduce you to an amazing lady, a lady called Marianne Schwab. Now Marianne is an expert. I'm not going to do it anywhere near enough justice in the introduction, but what I talk to you guys a lot about is the difference between marketing, where you can pay for marketing, Facebook ads, Google ads, all the other paid platforms, and there's hard work marketing. And I think that this really falls into that category, but it can have a huge impact on your business. So today we're talking about how to get your business featured on local television, and there is no better person to talk to you about this than Marianne Schwab. So Marianne, thank you so much for joining me. Do you want to just start by giving everyone an introduction to yourself? Shall I share your slides?
That would be fantastic.
Perfect. Okay, so there we go. Over to you.
Okay, so I want to, sorry about that little hiccup there. I am going to talk, I'm so excited to be here, and I want to share my 3 biggest insider secrets to landing a local TV talk show, even if you have absolutely no showbiz connections. Now, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Nick did a great job of giving the quick intro, but I'm a former national network TV talk show producer, and I help online experts and entrepreneurs land TV talk show interviews and become the A-list celebrity in their industry so they can absolutely crush their competition. Now, I've had over 25 years in broadcast experience, and I've been a producer at ABC in New York and ABC in Los Angeles and E! Entertainment Television, just to name a few of the networks that I've worked with. Wow. Now, I didn't start out that way, though. I started out with this girl in the middle of United States of America in a little town of Indiana, and I had a big dream that I wanted to work in entertainment, but I had absolutely no showbiz connections. But what I did was I got a college degree, and I arrived in New York with 3 things after I graduated a university in Indiana. And those were my college degree, $1,000 bank loan, and absolutely no job. But I had this dream that I wanted to work in entertainment, but my degree wasn't going to get me there. So I ended up taking some additional classes at NYU Film School to learn more about TV production, film production. And then I taught myself by reading over hundreds of books, not just how to be a producer, but all about writing and lighting and everything that you can imagine. And so eventually, I ended up producing some short films on the side, and I met a lot of people in my film classes. And when I produced these short films as a calling card, they ended up getting on some of the local cable stations and ended up getting on A&E network. So from there, I eventually got my first professional producer gig on a show called Live with Regis and Kathy Lee. It was the hottest daytime series of the time. And this is me at the desk with our old school tools, including an IBM Selectric and our little cork board in back there. If you can see it's just right up in here, the celebrities that are in town or we have on board. And so this was our board of where we would actually organize our show. Now, you know, it seemed like it would be a great job, but it wasn't all candy canes and lollipops, because my background was producing short films, and I was kind of thrown into the deep end and told to swim producing a talk show, because there are so many different types of producers when you see that title, and there are different types. Everything is a different specialty. It's kind of like the difference of either working or owning and operating a preschool versus a school that helps tutor kids after school to be better at work. So there are so many different ways that you can be a producer. So I just had to swim and I didn't want to sink. So I had to kind of figure it out on the job, exactly how do I be a good talk show producer. They hire you based on your skill set. They know that you can do the job. So once you're there, you're on your own to make sure that you're a success. And eventually I figured it out, and I got more opportunities that came my way, including working with this guy. So another icon in the industry, Robin Leach. I got hired as a position, a senior segment producer for their Runaway with the Rich and Famous and Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous show. We were seen in 98 countries. Wow. So this was a worldwide show. We had, I don't remember the numbers offhand, but I want to say we had 25 million viewers worldwide, which was a pretty good, pretty good metrics for a show that was syndicated, and the fact that we had those worldwide metrics. And during my time there, I produced celebrity and travel features in over 20 countries and 3 different continents. And what I would do is I would design an awesome 5-star vacation for celebrities, and then I would send a camera crew along to capture the magic. So it was a really great job. And but eventually this was a job that I had in New York, and I got tired of the crime in New York. So I thought I'd try the crime out in LA for a while. And so I landed in Hollywood the exact same way I did New York, with no job. And what was unbeknownst to me is that I would have to absolutely start over, because you've always heard that phrase, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And in Hollywood, that is more true than anywhere. In New York, I could really get a job based on my merit, but in Hollywood, you had to know people. So the only people I knew got me a job as an assistant to an executive producer, and I really had to swallow my pride, because I'd been on 2 national shows. But it was a really great experience, and it was at Paramount Pictures. And that was kind of cool. But within the year, I ended up getting back on another talk show. It's called ABC's Home Show in Los Angeles. But every day I absolutely had to prove myself all over again. Television is a very unforgiving place to work. You're only as good as your last segment. And you often have the idea that you could lose your job tomorrow, because they're not real nurturing. Let me put it that way. But I felt like once again, I had no idea what I was doing or if I was any good at it. And I had let the executive producers kind of unnerve my confidence, because remember, at this time, I had 3 national shows under my belt. I kind of had figured out the system, but I could not function in a place where I was so full of fear of losing my job, and that each segment my whole job was writing on everything that I produced. So I finally realized that, hey, I know what I'm doing here, and I'm not who they said I was, but I'm who I knew I was. And when I gained my power back, that's when everything changed. And so I realized I knew exactly what I was doing. I was kind of good at it. My colleagues respected me, and I took that power back. And as a result, when you have your own confidence, you gain, the EPs gained confidence in me. And I actually became one of EPs, being executive producers. I became one of their go-to producers for some of the tough assignments, including a whole hour show that we produced live from Universal City, Hollywood. So it was something that I felt like I really earned that badge. And sometimes you really gain confidence from going to the dark places and then coming back and say, hey, I know how to do this. So I just want to talk about the elephant in the room, because you saw, hey, I was there with an old picture of me and Smokey Robinson. And the thing that is so amazing about TV, whether you go to the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, wherever, things haven't changed as far as talk shows. The segment formats are the exact same. They're classic. It's a classic formula. Similar to marketing, formulas are the same, because why? Human psychology is still the same. It hasn't changed over the time. So that is what I've done now. I'm an executive producer at my own company, CMP Media Cafe. I launched it in the late 90s, and I have helped my clients secure over 1,000 interviews in the last 25 years. Wow. And here's just a list of some of the clients that I've worked with over that time. So A lot of these, are major, but I've also worked with their spokespeople to media train them and help them be the best that they could be on TV, because my goal as a network producer is not to do local TV. I want to bring the same quality of network television to the local television market. So with that, I get my clients on all of the local affiliates for networks. And because there's nothing that is going to say credibility more than your as seen on banner that shows that you've been interviewed. So I want to kind of unpack that just a bit and why it's so important and why it's so different from marketing. And that is that publicity, this is, this guy, Richard Branson, and publicity is absolutely critical, but a good PR story is infinitely more effective than a front page ad. And why is that? Because advertising is saying that you're good, but PR is getting someone else to say that you're good. It's that third party endorsement that makes it so incredible. So credibility cannot be bought, because no amount of advertising can give you the credibility that being featured as an expert in your industry on a news style or lifestyle talk show program can. So there I am. So let's talk about the 3 biggest insider secrets that I have for you today on landing a TV talk show interview, even if you have absolutely no showbiz connections. So my first secret is that you really need to understand how a talk show works, because most people don't understand it. And there are several types of talk show. I'm going to go a little bit through a day in the life of a producer, and then how to land your own TV talk show interviews. So let's start with there are 4 types of TV talk shows. You have taped on location, in studio, Skype interviews, and satellite interviews. I'm not going to focus on the taped interviews, but what I want to focus on are the in-studio interviews, because that's what really is a big part of what you can do for your audience, what this audience can do. So these are the traditional sit-down interviews, and they can be live or taped. They're usually question and answer formats, and they can also involve how-to cooking segments and other types of segments as well. Now, today, in our current environment, until things get back to, I'm going to say the N-word, normal, we have Skype interviews and satellite interviews. And actually, this has increased your ability to get on television, because most stations are doing Skype interviews or Zoom interviews so that you can be in their broadcast. You don't have to go into the studio, and you can, it actually increases the opportunities because they still need program. I'm going to get back to that in a moment. But let's start about the day in the life of a talk show producer. This is your typical talk show set. For a lifestyle program, you've got your kitchen set where you do your how-to segments and your cooking segments. You have something what we would call, on a lot of the shows I've worked at, is home base. This is where most of your interviews will take place. We have a green screen available if that's needed. And then we usually have this like back area. We can use that for our audience area. We can use it for another interview area as well. And the day, my day on a talk show starts really early. I always say I only work half days, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They are really grueling, and they are not as glamorous as you would think, because my day is a bit of a juggling act. It includes reviewing new pitches, doing pre-interviews with segment coming up, phone calls, writing scripts, editing B-roll, production meetings, special set design if we're going to do something different, and then organizing my props for each segment, or making sure that my guest is bringing them, and then lots of etc. So it's a lot to do in one day, and it's not just about just the pitch. There is so much that goes in to producing 3.5 to 5 minutes of TV to make it look absolutely spontaneous and perfect by the time it gets there. So now here's how most people think. How do you get on a talk show? Well, here's how most people think it works. They think, I'm probably going to be old school here, but there's the old legend that Lana Turner was discovered at Schwab's Pharmacy. That was where, if you just were a new, an actress or an actor arriving in Hollywood, you could go to Schwab's Pharmacy, get a soda or a milkshake at their bar. They had, it was like, I don't know, like a 5 and dime type of diner that they would have within the store. And no relation, by the way, no relation to me. And then you would get discovered just because a producer would walk in and go, oh, I'm going to make you a star. Or today they might think that, oh, I'm a social media superstar. I'll be discovered on social media if I just get a viral video. And yeah, you can do that, but that's not how it works for the most part. So then you get on Ellen. That's like the goal. Everybody wants to be on a hot national show. But here's how it really works. Most of the clients that would pitch me, they would come to me through a publicist. And then that publicist develops a pitch for you that they would pitch to a talk show or a producer like me. And then the publicist, because that's what they do for a living, they know who to pitch at local talk shows, national shows, local news, and they're a generalist. So they don't just get you on talk shows, they can get you in a lot of print, etc. So that's how it typically works. And the publicists typically charge retainer fees of $2,500 to $5,000 per month. And then they usually require a 3-month minimum because the first month spent developing your pitch, and then they'll spend the next couple of months working on getting you PR. Now that's $7,500 to $15,000. And then they'll pitch the talk shows and print online, but there are no guarantee of results. So now you can also do it yourself. And you can do a DIY pitch. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to do that, and then develop and write your own pitch, and then pitch the shows directly. And that is totally doable when you know what to do. And but the biggest problem is, how do you know who to contact or who to pitch? Remember, I went to I didn't have any showbiz connections when I started my entertainment career, but that's a big problem because you got to know it's who you know. So here is a little big secret I'm going to let you in on. Most people don't even know it. I've told this to talk show producers who don't realize that this is something you can do. What you do is during the week, you're going to see like a copyright line and the executive producer at the end of the show. That's it, because they're really maximizing their TV time and making it all show. But on Fridays, they reserve about 60 seconds so that they can run what's called the long credits, so that everybody gets their credit on TV, everyone that's involved in the show in any way, from makeup artists to cameramen to producers. And so if you record those end credits on Friday's show, that's how you find out who the producers are that you want to connect with on that show. So, and one of the best things, and local shows, this may be a little bit different, but on national shows, you don't necessarily want to start with the executive producer. You want to start with someone who's not overwhelmed as much with pitches as an executive producer, but you'll want to contact the segment producers or the associate producers or the researchers. If you want local news, that contact might be the assignment desk or the assignment editor. So those are, you wouldn't contact the news director. You want to contact the people who are just under that, because they're the ones that are that you're going to have easier access to. Number one, they get less pitches, and you're going to have a better chance of getting connecting with them. So that's one of the biggest secrets. And when I share that with my audiences, they're like blown away, because nobody is telling anyone this information. So you record that, and that's how you find out who your contact is. So I think that's a pretty good little cheat. So, but the big problem is between publicists and DIYers is that they're thinking from their perspective, and they're not thinking like a producer. So how does a producer think? Well, I always like to refer to JFK. And in his inaugural address, he says, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. So I like to flip the script on that and say, ask not what a talk show producer can do for you, but what you can do for a talk show producer. And what is that? Well, you can give them an amazing, you can give them an absolutely amazing interview or segment that's going to say details at 11. I'm going to get into a little bit more details there. So because this is what's swirling in the mind of a producer when you contact them also. It's a crazy day in a manic schedule. What experts can I get for this interview? Can this expert handle this interview if I bring them on board the show? And do they have any video? What props are they going to need? What is the best spin for this story? And is this segment going to bomb? And what's the best Q&A flow for the interview? I'll spend up to, I want to say 1 to 2 hours just determining the best flow for the Q&A. So for my 3.5, so I can maximize the 3.5 to 5 minutes of our TV time that we have. And then is there going to be a payoff to the segment? Your payoff can be anything from a call to action where you give them a freebie. You see this on Oprah or shows like this, or Ellen also. They'll have a segment with like a cool product, and they'll say, and guess what? Every member of the audience is getting this product, and it's yay. That's called the payoff to the segment. And then there's, again, lots of etc. And the final thing is that they're going to want to know, have you been on TV before? So if you're looking at all of these different types of things as you're putting together a pitch for a producer, this is how you're going to help nail your pitch. So, because what producers want is this: they want a great media hook and a story angle, and they want an expert who's tried and true and has been on TV before. So what that means is they want to know that if they put you on TV and on their set, that you're not like just gonna, oh wow, I'm on a TV set. No, they want you to be fine-tuned, totally professional, an expert, and they want to make sure you're not going to do Bambi and headlights the minute that the camera goes on. So this is simply what a producer wants. And you're going to start, so you don't start with the local shows, you start with local shows. And for most of the people who are your audience, Nick, this is absolutely perfect because they're in local markets, and TV stations love local story. So you don't start with the national talk shows. It's just not realistic. There are people that do it, yes, but that's like hitting the lottery. And getting on a national show in general is like hitting a lottery. So getting on a national show without doing local television first is a real a phenom. It's not something that's the norm. And the local TV shows love expert stories, and they also love local experts. And these local interviews will build your credibility as the go-to expert, and not just as the go-to expert, but if you have a local business, and for example, you're talking about the benefits of education, whether it's preschool or K through 12, or even after school tutoring, this is something that's going to position you in your local market as when you provide value to the local show of your expertise. That's going to make the audience like, oh, if they're considering a preschool or education for their kid, they're going to look at what was just on TV. It's like, wow, I need to look into them. So you're putting them in a different way. That's not a Facebook ad. That's not marketing. Again, it's that credibility factor. And when you're interviewed, it just elevates your credibility and your authority so much. In addition to, it also puts you as an expert in your field, as an education expert. So let's move on. I kind of touched on this, but your media hook and your story angle is everything, because you might think, well, I've never been on TV before. And yeah, there's ways there are ways to fine tune how you can be on TV. But the most important thing that's going to be, it's really where the rubber meets the road. It's your media hook and story angle, because I can tell you that you may have the best expert in the world, but if they don't have the right media hook and story angle, I'm not going to put them on the air. You really have to know what you're talking about and present it in a way that's going to be incredibly intriguing. Let me do a little bit of a deep dive into this. So your media hook must sound like a news headline or a tease, or something that you even see as a headline in a online outlet as well. So let's here are a couple I've put together that are just general, just so you get the idea. Celebrity makeup in minutes. A pro shows you how to get red carpet ready. What you don't know about taxes could be costing you thousands. Details at 11. And then, are you ready to fire your boss? Well, find out how to start a successful business from home. Stay tuned, we'll tell you more. So you can see that each of these are either used as a tease for the show, they're used as something going in or out of the segment. You've seen this forever when you watch broadcast television. So whether you're watching that segment online or you're actually watching the broadcast itself, these are the types of headlines or media hooks that, if this is how you approach your story, producers are going to be, you're going to just shoot ahead of the competition. Now, I wanted to give you a couple of ideas about different ways to do media hooks and story angles. We have the problem solution, you have extremes, rip from the headlines, how-to demos, the David versus Goliath or the underdog stories, and the negative angle teases. I'm going to do a little bit of, tell you a little bit more about some of these, but these are not just exclusive. You can do a problem solution, but it could be ripped from the headlines. You could do a problem solution that could be a how-to demo. Your David versus Goliath is an underdog story, and that's something that they want. He went from zero to how do you go from college dropout to making $8 million or $10 million a year in 3 years? Tune in tonight, and we'll show you. We'll show you what to do. So that's a David versus Goliath type of story. And then we have a negative angle tease where you flip the script. And I had a client, Nature Made, and we had home remedies. Do they work? Tune in, and we'll tune in tomorrow. We'll tell you what you need to know. So the home remedies, they would think, well, you're going to think, oh, these home remedies, they don't work. But our story was about how home remedies do work, how vitamins can help cut the duration of a cold in half. And we had medical studies from places like the Cleveland Clinic and other reputable medical organizations that supported what we were talking about. But you know what got them in there? The negative angle tease. So that you've got to think, think like a producer, what is going to be there. So, and then we have, of course, the trends and fads. But I want to do the problem solution. They're my absolute favorite angle. Need more money in your retirement? A reverse mortgage may be able to help. The 3 biggest legal mistakes that families make, and a legal expert can tell you how to fix them. And is your dog taking you for a walk? A Hollywood animal trainer has tips for your best friend, man's best friend. Now, you can also look at the structure of these, the media hook, because you need more XYZ for XYZ. This will help you, may be able to help. So it's not just about, writing these media hooks for these, that's only going to work for finance. No, these work for every single type of topic that you have, including like the 3 biggest blank mistakes that, the 3 biggest education mistakes families make. That is, something that you can tailor make to something that that will work for what your business is. Now, I've put together just a couple. Let's see. Oh wait, I'll go through these quickly. Belly dance your way to better health. Tired of spending 5 hours each week at the gym? Find out how to get all the workout you need for a week in less than 30 minutes. And then everyday ways to save. 5 household tips to cut your budget. And I think that you can see from each one of these topics I've put up here, you're interested and you want to learn more. So that's what your goal is. So I've put together just a couple for our audience here today. And that is, if you take something problem solution and then rip from the headline. So has distant learning hurt your kids' ability to learn? Find out how to fix it fast. Tune in tomorrow, we'll tell you how. And then I have, why does your preschooler not play well with others? Well, find out how the right play dates can be a game changer. And those play dates can be part of the, getting them into preschool so that they get the appropriate socialization. You don't tell your story in the media hook and story angle, though. You just want to hook them in on your story. And then once you hook them in on your story, then you go into giving them the tips for your media alert, etc. So that is, how else can we find structures that work? I like to go to I'm at the supermarket, or even just go online. You can Google these different publications, and then just kind of take a page from their playbook. And that is how to blank a blank. You just look at the structure, and it's just like, do I want to click on this story? And so you look at kind of just lifting it from that. Now, you can just Google the images and you can come up with these magazine covers the way I did, or you can also go to their online outlets and you'll find the same kind of things, the headlines or media hooks that will make you click on it. This one, it's a little harder to read, but it's 4 easy ways to save thousands in pet expenses. As a pet owner, I just absolutely love this one. So it could be 4 easy ways to save thousands on your on college, on school tuition. It can, you can see that you can flip this, whatever's going to work for your story. So I show these here as inspiration springboards, brainstorm tools, because these are the exact things that I use when I'm putting together media hooks and story angles for my clients. Now, finally, I want to give you one of the biggest secrets, and that is that talk show producers need experts, and lots of experts. They have hours to fill every day and every week. So they're looking for good segments. So they need to pitch their bosses these story ideas. After a show, we'll go into a story meeting where we'll take all the pitches that we've gotten from publicists and book authors and all of those different pitches. We take them into the meeting and we'll, pitch them to our bosses. Hey, we got this, we got that. And so we'll brainstorm how it's going to work for the show, or they'll say yes, or they'll say no, or they'll say develop it more and get back to me. So your expertise is absolutely synergized when you pitch the right story angles that are newsworthy and will grab the viewer's attention, because their goal as a producer is to get as many eyeballs on their show, get ratings up, because that is really the lifeblood of their show. Because if nobody is watching, they don't have a show, they don't have a job. And then you can be the great guest if you're an expert in showing people what works, how to do it, and then you want to share it. It is really that simple, but you may think that you don't have the right credentials or experience or authority to talk on this topic. If you have a business in the local area that is succeeding or that is helping the local community, you absolutely have the right credentials there. And you can then put your expertise into the 5 tips, 3 tips that are going to help your local community. And let's see. So, and that could be your book, your blog, your speaking engagements, your book business accomplishments, your expertise. I can't say the word. Experience in your zone of genius that makes you the expert. So, as we've just talked about the 3 biggest insider secrets to landing a local TV talk show interview, and that's by knowing how a show works, how to think like a producer, your media hook must be tease-worthy, and your talk shows need experts. Now, I've put together something really special for Nick and his audience, and that is my 50 media hooks that get you, it's a 50 media hooks template. And that is 50 media hook templates that work. So as you saw me kind of putting together and putting the fill in the blanks, that's exactly what this is. It's one of my, it's absolutely free, and you go to 50mediahooks.com.
I will grab that in the chat, just so everyone can see that particular link to get a hold of that. But Marianne, I wanted to thank you, because obviously there's a lot of value there. I want to just relate this back. I'm going to relate this back for some people just to understand why this is so relevant to what we talk about in the childcare business, because there are so many topical things going on right now. The impact, for example, on children's education because of COVID right now, okay? And there are a lot of parents being concerned that their child's development is so far behind because of what's happened with COVID. So we had a client recently, well, actually it was the start of the COVID scenario. And what happened here was the local the local news channels were calling around childcare businesses, and they were trying to find out which ones are closed, which ones are open. And what happened here is a very good friend of mine, Daphne, based out of Memphis, they received a call from a local TV channel and said, hey, we're trying to interview local childcare providers to find out how you guys are coping with the pandemic that's going on right now. And they basically did what they do every other day. They just said, hey, it's a normal day to us. We're just doing what we do. We're looking after children. We're giving them this amazing experience. And off the back of that, she had this 3.5 to 5 minute segment on the local news because, they wanted to feature the impact it was having on local childcare providers. And I remember that piece going out, and Daphne was, inundated with so many people wanting childcare because they were first responders and all these other local childcare providers that were closed. She was one of the only ones that was open. So I want people to realize this is so, so important, that you can think about what the examples that Marianne's given. Think about how you can take that story. Has your child been affected by the lockdown? Has your child's development been affected by the lockdown? Here are 3 tips to help your child get back on track. You know, there's so many examples there that can apply to your business. And Marianne, one last thing I just want to ask you is that obviously it's hard work. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's really important, is it? Because like we said before, you talked about this right at the start. It's so important to have, you know, going out there, running everything, doing all your marketing, spending money on ads and everything else. But when someone else is saying something about you, or you've provided that expert opinion, what other people say about you is way more important, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's, you know, just, you know, from the quotes that I've mentioned, and I've seen people's, I've seen guests that I've featured on, you know, given them their national break. I've seen their careers explode. So it's about the exposure. And then also think about it. When you get that first, if you do well with your first local interview, come up with other ideas that are going to help your local community with your zone of genius. And also think about when you come from the heart and think about how much you're helping and how you want to help, that's where the best ideas come from as well. So it's about helping your local community. And then it's like, well, say you get your first local one built, always have another idea in your back pocket, because your goal is to knock it out of the ballpark. Producers are going to love you because you understand what they need. And then you can say, well, you know, I have another idea. And then you can have, you know, something like this. Would that work for you? And so you have another idea in your back pocket before you even leave the studio.
Yes.
So that you can then be, when you're featured even more, it's not just a one-time deal. And the other thing that's incredibly important when you do those local markets, and this is something to really synergize, and that's where I know you work with your clients as well. So let's say, you know, you're going to be on a local TV show. Make sure that at that exact same time that you're geo-targeting Facebook ads and different other ads, so your audience is getting hit. Not just on the TV show, but you're synergizing your publicity with your marketing, because otherwise you're really missing an opportunity.
That is amazing, Marianne. That was a great point to end on, I think. So, Marianne, I want to thank you, because I know how busy you are, and I am extremely grateful for you giving up your time today. And what we're going to do off the back of this, obviously, there's so many points that Marianne's made here. We'll re-summarize these for you guys, but make sure that we've put obviously the link in the comments down below. Go and get those 50 hooks that Marianne's given you guys as templates, because what I want you to think about here, all the pain points that parents talk to you about, all those things that they're struggling with right now, whether they're a first responder, they're struggling with COVID, or they feel their child's behind, take those pain points and then relate that to that free template that Marianne's given you, and think about how can you provide value around those pain points that parents are talking about right now. So, Marianne, I want to say a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart again. I'm very grateful. I always love talking to you, and thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank you, Nick. It's been an honor.
Thanks, Marianne. I will speak to you again very soon. Thank you. Take care.
You too.
We're on a mission to help business owners just like you to get more customers into their businesses and to help you stand out from your competition. If you'd like to find out more about the ways we can help your business, check out our website at childcarebusinessgrowth.com.